Okay, guys, thanks again for being here today. Just real quick in recap from last weekend, I had a real good trip down to Atlanta. I had an opportunity to play in a great venue down there in the Georgia Dome. I had an opportunity to have our first conference competition of the season, and had an opportunity to come away with our first conference win of the season. So that made for a very successful trip. I thought all in all we played pretty well down there. I thought Georgia State competed very hard, and they certainly competed for the full 60 minutes of the game. But we had an opportunity about halfway through the third quarter to really take control of that football game, to go up 35-7. We also had an opportunity to play a number of people there late in the game and into the fourth quarter. I'd say that we've positioned ourselves well for this opportunity that presents itself to us here in Robins Stadium on Saturday against number 4 Old Dominion. Having won 3 games in a row and having won those games in pretty convincing fashion allows us to offer this as a big game. And I think that most people that are covering the CAA, covering Old Dominion football, covering University of Richmond football, also see this as being a big football game. So we're excited that we've been able to create this as an opportunity for us to be back at home in conference play against a very, very, very strong opponent in ODU. At this time, I'll take any questions from the media.
Coach, obviously you saw what Heineke and the ODU offense did Saturday. How have the preparations been for that?
Well, our preparation's been good. We're still relatively early in the week. Had a lot of energy and enthusiasm Sunday night, and I thought defensively, at least for the first half or so of practice yesterday, we were as good as we've been in practice. There was a lot of guys trying to get to the ball, a lot of guys playing with a lot of effort, a lot of hustle. So that was very encouraging. The performance that Old Dominion had last week was extremely impressive. I think the thing that impressed me most was just their will to win. They found themselves in a bad spot in a number of times during that game, down by 3 scores, and they continued to fight and battle their way back, believing that they would find a way to win the football game. I've been telling our guys here all week long, we got to find a way to win this thing at the end. That's the reality of it. 60 minutes of football, whether it's kicking game, whether it's offense, whether it's defense, just find a way to finish, find a way to make a play, make plays at the end to give yourself a chance to win.
Coach, how important will it be since the focus is on their offense, how important will it be for your offense to win time of possession and limit their chances to get on the field?
Well, I think it's huge. We had 2 drives last week down at Georgia State. I think one was 12 plays, one was 13 plays. I think it was the second and third drives of the game, somewhere in that range. But, those are the kinds of things that you want to be able to do. You just can't always script it. Obviously, when your offense has the ball, you have to be productive and you have to score points. The best way to do that is to control the ball, control the clock, and finish long drives with touchdowns. And we've shown the ability to do that. We had a couple of drives up at UVA that were lengthy, time-consuming drives that ended in touchdowns. So that's a big factor in this equation. The other team doesn't run 100-plus plays when your team has the ball for that extended period of time. I also think that in games like this, against offenses of this style, a 3-and-out on offense is very detrimental. It's almost like a turnover. You hear all the time when someone goes for it on 4th down, it's a turnover on downs. If you go out there with your offense and you go 3-and-out and you're punting the ball, and the net punt's 38 yards or something, it's really like a 38-yard interception. Because their offense is right back on the field, your defense is right back on the field. and you create that element of momentum for the opponent. So there's a number of things offensively that certainly weigh in very heavily on how this game gets played. Our ability to control the ball, certainly one of them, and our ability to protect the ball and then to minimize the number of short possessions we have where we don't come away with points.
Was Heineke on your radar at all at Liberty during the recruiting period when he came out of Atlanta?
He was. My most vivid memory was that he did not have much interest in Liberty. I know that Richmond was very active with him, probably all the way through towards the end. You guys may know a little more about that than I do, but I do know that some guys on our staff had some real strong feelings about and understanding of the student athlete, and he's certainly enjoying a lot of success down there at ODU.
Will you permit me an off-topic one on how you handle injuries and sharing that information with the public? Would you prefer not to say anything about injuries? I'm not asking about anybody specifically. I'm just saying in general. How do you think a football coach ought to handle somebody being hurt and sharing that information with the public?
Well, I'm probably a little more open than I wish that I was. I tend to be pretty honest in my responses. You asked me last week if I was going to wear a hat, and I said yes. And that's the only reason I wore one, because when I got down there, I said, why do I have a hat on indoors? But I did tell you guys I was going to have a hat on, so I kept it on. The issue sometimes is there is a lot of to-be-determined status quite often. And there's always the assumption that the coach knows something and he's just not offering something. And, we meet daily with Chris Jones, our trainer. He's at our 7 a.m. staff meeting every morning. And one of the first things out of my mouth is, Jonesy, what are the updates? And he gives you the updates. And, when guys are day-to-day, they really are day-to-day. And sometimes we hear that as if, oh, he knows he's going to play. He just doesn't want to tell anybody. In general, I'm probably a little more honest and open about it than I wished that I was. I just feel that in communicating with folks, I try to be forthright and honest in my responses. I hope there's not a follow-up.
Coach, on a high-flying offense, when you're playing a quarterback like this, is this a situation where you need your defensive line to get more pressure? I think you only have 1 sack so far this season. Is it a thing where you need more defensive pressure?
Yeah, we certainly do. And, the one thing you can't allow him to do is just sit back there and have a clear view of the coverages and of the route concepts. He's got great accuracy, and he's got great touch. So you have to have him under duress. You have to move him off the spot so that it's not like 7-on-7 when they practice these routes that they're running. In saying that, you got to play a lot of people up front. This isn't any secret. Anytime anybody's playing a team that throws the ball potentially 70 times in a game, you have to substitute freely. You got to be willing to roll guys in and out of the game. It's amazing how much energy it takes to rush the passer. It takes a lot of energy. These are your bigger-bodied players. And, sometimes your DBs can run all day long. Your linebackers can drop in coverage and break on the ball, but you rush the quarterback hard 3 or 4 times in a row and you're just gassed, So you have to have the willingness to roll some people in and out of there. One of the most impressive things that I've seen him do back there is when he is on the run, he's very accurate. He's a touch passer. He's a backyard football player when he's on the run. He just, it's like pickup football, and he'll find the open guy, and he'll just kind of loft it in there with a great amount of touch on the ball. So we've got to be able to mix things up and certainly offer some variety in what we're doing but the ability to put pressure on him is certainly going to be important in this football game.
Coach's team didn't play a lot of important CAA games last year, going winless. Talk a little bit about the excitement level of the players knowing that they have this opportunity to make a big-time showing in CAA play with a win this weekend.
Well, we're certainly excited about the opportunity. Like I had mentioned before, if we haven't won 3 in a row, I don't think there'd be a whole lot of excitement here right now. Anybody, so we put ourselves in that position. We are committed to bringing our program back to national prominence, and it's not an easy thing to do. But these are the kinds of opportunities that present themselves to you. The last 3 weeks against our last 3 opponents, there was a lot of things that I felt I had to do in the area of motivation to make sure that my football team was motivated and ready to play. I think we did the right things. I think we got the right results there. This week's a little bit different. My players are motivated. They want to play. They're excited about this opponent. They know about this opponent. Don't have to educate them a ton about how good they are or what they do well. So now it's just what do we have to do to win. Sometimes I've said this before. There's always a technical element and there's a psychological element. And there's some real technical things that you have to be ready to do here in a matchup like this. So we're really working hard here this week with our offensive and defensive structure, play calling, so that we have the right ammunition to combat this opponent. Then as we get later in the week, we can focus in a little more specifically on what you have to be able to do mentally. And I said it earlier, the biggest thing you got to do is be prepared to finish. You got to understand, to win this game, we're going to have to win it at the end. And that whether we're up by 28 or down by 28, you're going to have to win it at the end. So that's the mindset you have to bring in to the football game.
Anything else for Coach Rocco?
Guys, thank you very much.